What's going on, y'all, and happy Tuesday. I hope everybody out there is feeling fantastic this morning. Now, with all of that said, let's go ahead and jump off into these topics. And the first thing I want to discuss is this situation that's going down with Salt and Peppa. So if you haven't heard, this fantastic duo took the courageous steps to actually sue Universal Music Group. And we know who had an issue with this same label right before they unfortunately passed away, and that would be Miss Angie Stone. Now, with Salt and Peppa suing UMG, their main objective is to retain the rights to their master recordings, and in fact, they're invoking the Copyright Act of 1976, which allows artists to terminate previous agreements and regain control of their recordings after several decades. Now, what's interesting about this dynamic is the fact that the duo filed to terminate their old deal back in 2022, but UMG was like, not so fast, we're not going to honor it. So UMG's response was to pull Salt and Peppa's music from all streaming platforms. Now, UMG is playing the dirty games that they normally play. In fact, they're dragging Salt and Peppa through the absolute mud on this, indicating within the lawsuit that they will hold, or better yet, shelve Salt and Peppa's music, even if it means tanking the value of their music catalog and depriving their fans of access to their work. Now, Salt and Peppa argues that this is why the copyright law exists, given the fact that these types of disputes and conflicts happen between artists and record labels all the time, and they're saying that they just want what rightfully is owed to them. Now, the premise of this argument that's being made by Salt and Peppa is based off the fact that they signed early contracts, and they're saying that they're now legally entitled to own songs from their 1986 debut album, which was titled Hot, Cool, and Vicious, and they believe they should own the rights to songs like Push It, Shoot, and What a Man. And so they're seeking actual punitive damages along with a permanent injunction to confirm their rights, and the lawsuit that they filed against UMG estimates their financial losses could easily exceed $1 million. Now, here is where it gets super interesting and sticky at the same time, because UMG is claiming that Salt and Peppa doesn't have a claim, because according to UMG's attorneys, they're saying that Salt and Peppa were not direct parties in the original 1986 agreement, and the music was considered work for hire, which means it's a classification that will block any attempt to reclaim rights, and Salt and Peppa, they strongly dispute that. Now, as far as Spinderella is concerned, she was not involved in this lawsuit and wasn't a party to early recording contracts at the center of this dispute. So once again, we have artists that should be living somewhere comfortable, not saying that they don't have any money, but they should be living somewhere comfortable off of the music that they've made, and now you have the label that is trying to block them from driving off into the sunset financially stable. So ultimately, I hope that Salt and Peppa comes out at the end of the tunnel victorious in all of this. And let me just say this right here and right now, no weird shit better happen to Salt and Peppa. No mysterious car crashes, hospitalizations, so forth and so on. But anyway, let's move along, and I want to talk about the Diddy trial yet again. Now, I'm hearing from someone from a major network that's covering the case, and they're on the grounds of this trial that Dawn Rashad shouldn't have even showed up for court. They said that it was an absolute mess, she wasn't prepared, and that Diddy's defense, they really went at her and basically dusted her in the courtroom. They found so many holes and inconsistencies in her story, and all she could say, well, I'm having a hard time remembering and things of that nature, but they weren't buying it. They felt that she was up there just spewing out nonsense and not having the facts together, or not having facts at all, because none of this transpired. And in fact, when Dawn first testified on Friday, Diddy filed a motion that same day to have her removed from the trial altogether, but the judge moved forward and felt that it was necessary for Dawn to testify because she testified on yesterday. Now, Dawn recounted a story where there was an incident where Diddy took a swing at Cassie with a skillet or whatever, and told Dawn and another woman that if they told anybody about what they saw, basically that they could end up DEAD. Now, I want to ask you guys something. Don't you find it extremely weird that Aubrey O'Day isn't testifying? I understand that she has to be subpoenaed to testify, but she's been leading the charge, one of the individuals that have been leading this charge of trying to expose Diddy. And in my estimation, I'm gonna just keep it real, she was saying a bunch of nothing. And listen, feel free to drop down in the comments and educate me on something that Aubrey has said that was so groundbreaking as it pertains to Diddy, because I haven't heard it. Now, I've heard things about her saying that if you don't agree with him, tires could be slashed, this, that, and the third, but it was nothing that was so alarming that made me pay attention to anything that she was saying. And if I'm being honest, she just came across bitter to me that she was kicked out of the group. I'm just keeping it all the way real, but all of a sudden she just said on a podcast a couple of days ago that somebody within the group told her that something may have happened to her when she wasn't coherent, and now she's investigating. You ain't got nothing. And listen, if I'm wrong, I'll stand corrected, but I just feel like when I look at Aubrey, it's obvious that she has privilege, and if anything sinister happened to her, I'm thinking that the feds would have definitely subpoenaed her to testify against Diddy with the quickness. Now, the one thing that I will say that I admire about Aubrey is the fact that she didn't let Diddy break her. She was strong, she was courageous, and she just didn't let Diddy affect her to the magnitude that she was just gonna break down and fold on national TV. So shout out to Aubrey for the strength that she showcased and exuded, because her inability to conform to Diddy's wishes is what disrupted his soul. And that's why she was kicked out ultimately. But anyway, let's move along, because I'm pretty sure some of the women want to know who was some of these workers that performed at these freak-offs with Diddy and Cassie, and the first person being, and I'm starting at the top left-hand corner, his name was Skylar, of course, Jonathan Oddie, and then Ash, and then Brian, then Greg, and then Jake, and then Johnny, Jules, and the rest of the guys are unidentified. So no names for them yet, but it'll be interesting to see if they subpoena these guys to actually talk about their experiences with Diddy and Cassie. But anyway, let's move along, because something interesting came out in court yesterday that a lot of people are not talking about, and it has to do with a freak-off request extended from Diddy to Cassie. I want you guys to check out what Miss Lloyd had to say about the situation, and I'll be back.
Another bombshell that came out today in Cassie's testimony was that before the Intercontinental freak-off that we've all seen the video from, she initiated the freak-off in the text message. But here's what's interesting. She had testified originally that she didn't want to do it because she had her music premiere. However, there is a text message where she tells him, we can make it a short freak-off. We just need to be there for a few hours. We can take and hydrate afterwards so that way we can continue on.
That's extremely interesting, because Cassie tried to make it seem like she was being forced to do that freak off. Now, she didn't deserve what happened in that hallway whatsoever, right? Diddy was wrong. Throw him under the jail. He settled for $20 million, whatever the case may be, right? But at the end of the day, she tried to paint this picture like she was being coerced, forced, and manipulated to do it, when in all actuality, all Cassie did was create a paper trail on her damn self by texting and agreeing to participate in these freak-offs. But anyway, let's move along, because Gene Deal was on the scene, right? Gene Deal was at the Diddy Trial on yesterday, and I want to play you an interaction he had with a TikToker, and he gave his 2 cents on the situation dealing with Diddy. Check it out, and I'll be back.
Patriots literally just stepping out of court. This is crazy, guys. I was in the actual courtroom. I got in there, my man KK, it worked. Diddy made eye contact with me, looked at me, and waved hello. He looked around and waved hello to me. Oh my God, this is crazy. So, lots of stuff happening. Dawn Richard took the stand again, and guys, I hate to say it, the lawyer for Diddy, Miss Westmoreland is her name, she's a bulldog. I told her that. I saw her out in the hallway during a break. I was like, you are good. And she's like, thank you. But I mean, Miss Westmoreland destroyed Dawn Richards on the stand. I hate to say it, but that's what everybody coming out is going to say, that Dawn Richard was just totally discredited on the stand. Why? Because she had 8 different meetings with the feds, the government. Oh man, is that Gene Deal?
Yes. That'd be me.
Can I say hey to you for a second on my TikTok? Guys, this is Gene Deal. Yeah, I've been reporting on you for a while, man. I'm Secret Service Sam. Guys, this is Gene Deal. Gene Deal, how are you feeling, my friend? Give my Patriots an exclusive. What do you think's going on in there? Guys, Gene Deal is the main man. He's the bodyguard. He has been the one leading the entire front on this Diddy campaign.
That's it, right?
Right? I mean, besides Jaguar Wright, you're the most credible person we have. You're Diddy's ex-bodyguard. Tell the folks, man. You don't want to say much? Come on, Gene.
You already did it, Playboy.
Come on, Gene. You're always saying something. Give him something here. What do you think? You think Diddy's going to get off, or you think what are we looking like?
I think the prosecution is doing a great job. They need to keep up the good work.
Right.
I think they went real lenient on them because they could have hit him with way more charges
right.
than they did, and that's it.
What do you think about Dawn Richard? Miss Westmoreland was like, the lawyer was destroying her on the stand, her credibility. She had 8 different times she met with the feds, and they're like, why did you not mention anything about Diddy threatening your life and all that time? Do you believe Dawn Richard?
A lot of people are traumatized, man. You know, you got to look at it that way. You know what I'm saying? You got to look at something that this guy holding their life in their hands.
Right, and that makes a difference. Hey, I appreciate you, man.
Right.
Thank you for everything you
sir.
do. All right.
Thank you.
Guys, that's Gene Deal. Thank you. Okay. Oh, that's an exclusive. Hey, how are you doing? Thank you, sir.
Started following you after I told you about that suit you had.
Oh, you did? Thank you. I appreciate that.
Like, wait, is that Secret Sam?
You're the man. Thank you. That's me. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you. Guys, this was amazing. Just got an exclusive with Gene Deal. I'm getting recognized here. It's so much love here. Hope you guys appreciate my coverage. That should go massively viral. That was Gene Deal, the main security guard for Diddy, and probably the most trusted and believed source. And I just got you an exclusive. Look. Everybody's chasing him. Secret Service Sam just has the conversation. Love you guys. Secret Service Sam out. Samson for president of TikTok.
All right, so you guys just saw that interaction, but I want to ask you all, do you find it interesting that Gene Deal hasn't been subpoenaed to testify against Diddy? I do. You know, he's been leading the charge. He has a lot of stories, and I'm pretty sure he's credible enough to get on that stand and say some things that will really be groundbreaking in the case. Maybe things he hasn't let us know yet that he will only say in the court of law. But it's just interesting, to say the very least, that he hasn't been subpoenaed. Now, before I leave you with this update as it pertains to Cassie, childhood friend, being violated by Diddy, I do want to let you guys in on something that has been expressed to me, and it has to do with Clive Davis allegedly settling with Usher and his mom. That's what I'm hearing from credible sources that are on the grounds of New York right now covering this trial. I'm hearing that there was some backdoor settlement that took place not too long ago with Usher and his mom. Now, I don't know what it's pertaining to. They were mum on that. I don't know the details of it, but I'm hearing that right before the trial started, there was a settlement from Clive Davis involving Usher's mom and Usher. Now, I find that very strange if this is true, that Clive is settling before Diddy Trial with Usher and his mom, because it makes me believe that there was something that was about to come out. Maybe the feds were going to subpoena Usher to the stand or his mom, because there was a situation that took place back in the day, but I thought it only involved Diddy, where Usher allegedly had his back door split open, and had to be taken to the hospital and things of that nature, allegedly. But I don't know. It just sounds odd. But when I get more information, I will definitely bring it to you guys. But anyway, I want to thank you all for watching this video up until this point. I'm going to leave you with an update as it pertains to the Diddy trial involving Cassie's childhood friend, Carrie. And I want you guys to have a beautiful and blessed day. Take care. Peace.
Carrie Morgan, who is Cassie's former best friend, is on the stand testifying against Diddy. They are on a lunch break, and she'll be back to continue her testimony after lunch. Carrie and Cassie were best friends for over 17 years. She met Cassie on a modeling shoot when they were teenagers, and they lived together in Manhattan and were inseparable until 2018. That is when Carrie said Diddy physically her, and she ended their friendship for good. When taking the stand, she told the court she did not want to be there. She said, "I've moved on from all these people and their problems," and that she was testifying because she was subpoenaed. Carrie said Cassie changed once she got into a relationship with Diddy. She lost her confidence big time, and she lost her spark. In terms of Diddy's jealousy, she said that he would call Cassie over 50 times in a row, screaming at her, criticizing her looks, and questioning who she was talking to. He said Cassie felt like she couldn't leave because he controlled everything from her job to her car to her apartment. She felt like she was trapped. When talking about Cassie doing substances before Diddy, she said that Cassie did not. But she said Diddy often provided substances like X, Molly, and Mary J. She said that Diddy would be doing all of these substances, but that sometimes she and Cassie would do OP8s together. When talking about Diddy's presence, she said that it was dominating and unpredictable. Talking about physical, said the first time she saw him getting physical with Cassie was in a house in Hollywood Hills. She says Diddy and Cassie were arguing in the bedroom while she stood in the foyer. She said she saw Diddy pushing Cassie and possibly and her too. He said Cassie did not fight back and that Carrie yelled at Ruben, who is Diddy's security, to do something, and he did not. In fact, she said Ruben refused. Afterwards, her and Cassie ran out of the house and hid behind a neighbor's front steps for 30 minutes as Diddy searched for them. Second major alleged that she witnessed was in Jamaica in 2013. Cassie was taking too long in the bathroom and Diddy snapped. She heard gut-wrenching, terrifying screams and then saw Diddy Cassie by the hair down the hallway. She alleged she saw Diddy push Cassie to the ground. Cassie hit on the brick and collapsed into a loose fetal position. Carrie said she thought Cassie was unconscious. Cassie later ran barefoot into the woods and that she and Diddy got on separate golf carts looking for Cassie. She found Cassie and they hid in a ditch for hours. The other incident was the hotel surveillance incident at the Intercontinental Hotel. Said when Cassie came home, she was wearing a hoodie, she had a black eye, and she collapsed on the couch and appeared numb. 30 minutes later, Diddy showed up banging on the door with a her trying to get in. Carrie said she was terrified and called Diddy's assistant and security, begging them to stop. Police eventually came and Cassie refused to show her ID and cooperate. She told the court she didn't think Cassie cared if Diddy came in and unalived her. Carrie now talks about her own happened in 2018. Carrie said when Cassie was in the bathroom, Diddy came up on her, and then he threw a wooden hanger that hit her in the near her ear. She fled the apartment and texted Diddy's assistant saying he's going crazy and he lost it, but the assistant shrugged it off. Carrie said she considered filing a lawsuit, but about a month later, Cassie came to her and said that Diddy would give her $30K, so she took the money and signed an NDA. She said she hadn't spoke to Cassie ever since. Carrie also said that most of Cassie's friends worked for Diddy, but she was the only one who did not. And when Cassie spent time with those people, she convinced herself that the was okay. Carrie said you could tell they were convincing her it was okay. They're now on a lunch break and I will be back with more of her testimony. After lunch, Carrie Morgan finished up on the stand. They did cross-examination and redirect and she's now officially done. When cross began, Diddy's attorney, Mark Agnifilo, asked Carrie Morgan when her and Cassie met. He asked if it was 2004 and she corrected him saying it was 2001 and they met while they were waiting for Polaroids to be developed. Then pivoted and asked if Cassie was ever jealous of Kim Porter, to which she said yes. She said Cassie was jealous because she could never go to the New Year's Eve parties. When asked if Diddy was ever jealous, she also said yes, especially when Cassie was spending time with Michael B. Jordan. And Carrie said she believed that Cassie was trying to leave Diddy at that time. Now, this was the time when Cassie was in South Africa doing a movie with Michael B. Jordan, and Carrie talked about how she went to go visit Cassie on set. She talked about how she had learned about Diddy's relationship with Gina and how he had this full-on relationship with this girl. When asked why she called Gina that, she said she acted like it and she was younger than us. Carrie said Cassie found out about it and she wouldn't go away. He wouldn't leave her, so it just went on for a really long time. Carrie also testified that when she went to South Africa to see Cassie, Diddy's assistant was there, who they're calling Mia, and Mia is supposed to be a witness. Carrie said she was pretty close to Cassie, close enough that she came with her to South Africa to help her out. Cassie had testified last week that this person they're calling Mia had witnessed Diddy physically abuse her. Mark Agnifilo then asked Carrie why she and Cassie stopped speaking. You could tell by his line of questioning that he was trying to paint the picture that if Cassie meant so much to Carrie and if they had this 17-year plus friendship, why was it so easy for her to walk away and only for $30,000? But Carrie said she did not support me when Sean assaulted me and I draw the line at assault. It also gave more information about what happened that day in 2018 when Diddy with a wooden hanger. Diddy's attorney asked her if she and Cassie were using substances that day because obviously they're trying to paint the picture that that was the reason Diddy went off. He said no, Diddy was angry because he wanted to know who Cassie was cheating on him with. Now remember, this is 2018, which means it's likely her now husband, Alex Fine. Because of Diddy's alleged she said she had fingerprints on her neck. She took herself to urgent care. She was so dizzy she threw up multiple times and they told her she had a concussion from being in the head. Remember how she testified she met up with Cassie a month later, she signed an NDA and she got $30,000? Before I say this, I want to remind you guys that at this point, Cassie had dealt with 10 years of abuse. We are not going to point fingers or blame her at all. Carrie said she had met with Cassie a month later at a pizza spot at a Hollywood hotel. That was the last time she had spoken to Cassie, and she said Cassie did not take her seriously. In fact, Cassie accused Carrie for over-exaggerating the situation. You have to remember, Cassie had dealt with 10 years of the most psychotic, scariest situations she's ever been put in. So I could understand her mental thought at this point, but obviously for Carrie, who had never been through it, she's like, wow, my friend is not supporting me. And that is when she ended the friendship. At one point during Cross, Diddy's attorney showed her a book, and it was Louis Hay's self-help affirmations, and asked why she sent these words of encouragement to Diddy. She said, I don't remember sending that. Diddy's attorney also tried to point out that Carrie is saying she went to urgent care, but in her interview, she said she went to the hospital. Why does that matter? Again, they're trying to show inconsistencies, but I don't think the jury's gonna care. Back on Redirect, they brought up Jamaica once again. When asked what exactly happened, she said he Cassie by her hair down a 50-yard hallway. Was he accusing her of cheating? She said no, he was mad she took too long in the bathroom. Despite everything Cassie had been through, she said there were times where she did believe Cassie and Diddy loved each other. In her own words, there were times I thought they should try to work things out. When asked why they never spoke to each other again, she said, I don't know why she doesn't reach out to me. I'm sure she doesn't have the same number anymore.